Anders Langballe ist bei mir. Hi Anders, how are you doing?
I'm good, and you?
I'm also very good. A little bit tired, but it's fine. So, just introduce yourself, where you're from, what did you do before you worked at Big Dutchman. Tell us a little bit.
Oh, my entire life story. I don't think you have time for that. No. My name is Anders Langballe. I've been working for Big Dutchman for 4 years now. And it has been very exciting all 4 years. I work with our cloud solution. We call it BFN Fusion. And we take all the data off the farm and we do some fun stuff with it, like artificial intelligence and analytics. We also just do regular stuff like display it, so you can analyze your data on your own. I'm here to talk to you today about real-time data and how that can help you become successful. And I can see I have to stand over here, otherwise you can't see me. Well, the camera can't see me. I'm just blocking you.
Oh, that's fine. Just stand wherever you want.
That is fine. All right. So real-time data, that becomes very important once you are not present on on the farm yourself. We take the data and we move it to the cloud, and then the data has to be moved to the device you are using to see the data, and that of course takes a little bit of time to transfer all this data. Hence the real time. The real time means that you get it the same time as it occurs on the farm. I want to start out with a little history lesson about how computers evolved and the impact it had on business in the world. So I will start back in 1959, where this little black fellow was invented. Actually, it's a semiconductor and it was invented back in the 40s, but this is the first time it was miniaturized. So this is really the first iteration of the transistors that we're using today. It kickstarted an evolution or revolution, as you will, of electronics in the world. All of this electronics, not the one you see here, but electronics in general, has totally changed the world we live in, of course. It has helped automate, millions and millions of jobs in the industry today. And surely anything you see or wear or sit on or walk on has somehow been affected by this little transistor here. So I wanted to kind of put that a little bit in perspective, since in 1959 we had that one that there's a picture of there. So today, how many do we produce today? Well, you know the answer, so I'm not going to ask you.
Skim, probably.
Anyone know? No. We produce 20 trillion of them today. That is 20 and 12 zeros. That is a lot of zeros. It's such a staggering number that I can't even begin to imagine. However, it is not per year. It's not per month or per day. It's per second. So every single second we produce 20 trillion of those things today. In your average cell phone, you have somewhere between 2 and 10 billion of them. So this truly has revolutionized the world. However, it was mostly used in the industry because having a circuit board like that doesn't really help private people or office people in any way. So we have to wait until 1981 when IBM launched that fellow there. That's a PC, and it standardized a platform for computers. So all the programmers now had a standard platform to program on, and they weren't late to invent programs for basically anything that you can think of, and soon the office environment started to look like that. Those computers, back in the day, all the programs you had to run on those computers. All the data you stored had to be stored on those computers. So basically you were stuck with that computer. It's not something you can really run around with, and it's not something you can access from afar. So this kick-started all the programs, all the modern programs that we're using today were somehow related to the PC. But they were still islands, so we have to go all the way to the mid-90s before we started connecting them. And in the mid-90s, the internet was popularized, let's say that. It was invented back in the 70s, but it was really inaccessible to the average person until the mid-90s when Netscape and Yahoo search engine were invented and people could actually do some searches online. The biggest impact that the internet had was without a doubt e-commerce. It's now possible for you to buy stuff from anywhere in the world, and even more important, it's possible for all the suppliers to sell their goods anywhere in the world. However, if you wanted to go online and buy stuff or just work with the computer, you still had to sit in the office and look at the computer, even if they were connected. That changed in 2007 when Apple launched their smartphone, or their first version of the iPhone. And as you can tell, and you probably already know, there's a limited lifetime of the battery on your phones. So the phones weren't really meant for running big programs or crunching through large amounts of data. But they did do something else for you. It did liberate you from your office. So now you can work on the go. You have all the information you need. You have virtually limitless information right at your fingertips. And if something happens, you could get notified on the way, on the road. That also means if you can't run your programs or crunch all the data on the phones, you need to do something else. So the smartphone and the tablet and anything like this also meant that computers or programs started to move to the cloud. This is also where you store all your pictures and everything. It's in the cloud somewhere. So all in all, this new platform started the move towards cloud software, and you'll probably see all around the fair here that every now and then there's someone who says they have cloud software. So the last step in my history lesson, it takes us to 2022, and in November 2022, ChatGPT was launched. It was the first time that artificial intelligence somehow became real to most people. I don't know where it's going to take us, but for sure it has already impacted a lot of our jobs today. We have in our booth, if you visit our booth down there, we have our own examples of what we can use artificial intelligence for. It is not used for chat robots or anything like this, but there are many different versions of artificial intelligence. So this concludes my little history lesson, and I think it would be fun to see where we are on this scale. I don't have a picture of that, but I think that agriculture isn't actually too far behind. As I talked to Marie about yesterday, agriculture is a very industrially heavy or manpower heavy industry. There's you need a lot of people to work with animals or to work with farming. So we are constantly being pushed to automate processes. So we are kind of quick to adapt new technologies. But in terms of where we are, well, we use smartphones. We have solutions to access our climate control systems, and we have drones that fly over fields and you can see the results on your smartphone. So that's where we are, and you will also see here in the Big Dutchman booth and also somewhere else on the fair that we are using artificial intelligence already in some sense. And if you want to hear more about how we do it, you can go to our booth, of course. So I talked a little bit about cloud software. Now I'll try to say a few words about why it's important. As I just said before, it frees us from our computers so we can actually do something else. In terms of farming, I know that at least a lot of the Big Dutchman customers, they like to sit in their tractor and do stuff and not sit around in their houses watching the animals. If the animals are doing well, there's really no reason to sit there and look at them. So they really just want to be notified on their phone when something is up. It also gives you another option. A lot of our customers, they want to build more farms and expand their businesses, but they can't get the proper experts because there simply aren't enough people in the world who knows about farming. So this picture illustrates that you can take some of your farm managers and put them back to your headquarters or your control room or whatever you call it, and then they can manage the farms from afar. And that is only possible if you have data in a central location. It also has that strange effect that if you have all the data in the cloud, you only need to go to a farm if there's something you need to do on the farm. So you limit the number of visits to the farm, which in turn limits the risk of getting any sort of infection carried into your houses. I have a lot of chats here on the show, not this show for some reason, but on other trade show I always meet veterinarians, and they always tell me that if I just had access to your data, then I could have warned the farmer a day before it becomes a problem for them. So early detection is very important, not just in breast cancer or any other type of cancer for that matter. A thing that I have heard here on the trade show this time is that documentation takes up a lot of your time. So having all the data in one place from all of your production units, it makes it a lot easier to document and export all the data you need to export to the authorities or to your customers or to your slaughter plant or your egg packer or whoever requires data from you. So having it in one place is extremely helpful. So that was a little bit about cloud software, which is important, as you can see. But the title of my show here was real-time data, so I should probably say a little bit about that, right? So why is real-time data important? I found this quote online. It says that intelligence is taking the right decision at the right time. And you can take the right decision at the wrong time and still be wrong. So I usually think a little bit in pictures, and just imagine what would happen if your GPS was 10 seconds delayed. It would look something like this. I'm sure that's not how you drive. That's how I drive, but my GPS is always late. Real-time data becomes especially important when we're dealing with artificial intelligence, because humans have a filter. They can take in other input. So in this case, we would probably not drive like this. We will take the next exit. If it's an artificial intelligence, they don't see the trees or this. They just see the road, and they're told they have to turn to the right, so they will turn right, even if it's off a cliff. So you definitely need real-time data if you want your artificial intelligence to make good decisions. Real-time data also makes it easy for you to change direction on the fly. And of course I use the GPS thing again because that's the best way I can illustrate it. But if you spot something in your production that's inefficient, you can react to it really fast, and you can change the way you're doing things immediately to kind of get rid of the first two letters in the word inefficient there. The last reason I have for why real-time data is important is a collaboration issue, actually. If you take all your farm managers to the headquarters, you only have farm workers left on the farm, and the farm workers, they sometimes need advice, and they will call their farm manager to get advice on what they need to do. And if the farm manager doesn't have the same picture of what's going on the farm as the farm worker, he can't really help him. So in order to be able to work together more efficient, you need to have the same picture. All right, that was a little bit about real-time data and a little bit about cloud software. But is that really enough? If you have all this information and you get notified that something is wrong, you really would like to do something about it, right? So you need to be able to remote access your controllers, or I don't know what you use in crop farming, but I'm sure there are similar things in crop farming, right?
There are different tools, right? Absolutely. To make the work more efficient, to be more precise. We work with satellites, so mapping the landscape, making different zones where you have better soil, for example. So,
yeah. So I'm sure you would like to change something. If something comes up and the satellite says that you shouldn't put some manure here, then you probably would like to change that on the fly, I assume.
Yeah, you can change that.
So You would also like to be able to assign tasks to a farm worker. If you see something needs to be done, you want to create a task. We have a system that can allow you to create the task, and then you can sit and monitor if it's actually being done, and you can see how far they're done with today's work. So in summary, what does real-time data allow you to do? It allows you to make the right decisions at the right time. It allows you to spend time on the important things that you need to do on a farm, like tending to your animals, and only react when there's a need to react. It allows you to reduce the risk that you have by reducing the number of visits you have to your farm. Sorry, I'm behind here. There we go. It will also allow you to share data with your advisors and your supervisors or your customers or the authorities, whoever you need to share data with easily. You can get help from experts quickly, as I said, with the veterinarians as an example, or nutritionists. You can analyze and optimize your data in one place. All right, that almost brings me to the conclusion of my presentation for the last time at this show. So, and I'll end it with a little quiz. I have done that all 4 days, and yesterday there was actually one that could figure it out. So I have this picture of a very, very famous man, and I usually ask the audience who this man is. I'm not going to ask you because you know the answer, or at least you hope you do.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, but guess, who's this guy?
It is absolutely right.
Yeah, Charles Darwin.
It is Charles Darwin.
Evolution theory. Yeah. Survival of the fittest.
Exactly. That is also the reason I brought him here today. Because farming is really just following the evolution. Farming is survival of the fittest. If you can adapt to the changes in environment that you have, and there are many changes. I just had a talk with Marie here before the show about the regulation that is imposed on you by governments or local authorities. And yeah, you have to adapt to those things. It's the same thing with the change in technology. I have been talking about cloud software and real-time data and all that stuff. I'm willing to bet that most of you guys, you just use a farm PC that's on the farm, and you have been relying on this for years, if not decades. And it can be scary to move away from something you have relied on, especially if it's for your livestock. Is that nice with some walk through traffic here? You want to say something? That is fine. That is fine. So my point with this is that it can be scary to do the change. It can also be scary just to stay on the same platform, and it can be even scary to just think about it. So, but at some point it will happen because the world is walking towards cloud software. There's no stopping it. So if you haven't thought about this digital transformation just yet, just at least sit down and give it a thought. And if it does feel scary to do, don't worry. Of course, Big Dutchman has you covered. We have been working with this for many years at this point, and we will, of course, hold your hand all along the way and make sure it's a positive experience for you. So that was my last slide. I had 2 out of 4 presentations where they knew who Charles Darwin was. That's just a testament to, I don't know, how smart people are here in farming. I don't know. I couldn't have told it. I freely admit that. So.
There's some people of this time, some developers and stuff like that. That looks kind of similar, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Old men with long beards.
So do we have any questions for Anders? So I think you made very clear that real-time data helps us farmers to optimize working processes. So it also makes our work more efficient. That's
what we're going for.
Absolutely. And we can make decisions on the right time. I think that's very important.
Yes.
So especially when we have some challenges with changing rules, changing laws, especially changing challenges with a lack of workers or employees. And
definitely.
You have to be more efficient in those times, even if, especially with your time you have, it's gonna be shorter.
Time is limited for everyone.
Absolutely.
And especially farmers, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you very much for having me.
If there are any
Thank
questions,
you for your attention.
You can ask Anders in the back or if on the stand if you have any questions that you don't want to say loud now. So
I have plenty of stories to tell.
Oh yeah, I bet.
I also know a few jokes, but I'm not telling them here.
Why?
I don't think they're appropriate for the stage here.
Oh, okay. Well, it's the last day. Just go. Just go ahead.
Still don't want to be arrested in Germany.